Say it's live.
Hold on.
Okay,
Evening, Tom. All right, Lieutenant, we ready?
We are
We're
ready,
ready.
sir.
Hooray.
Okay. All right,
Adam,
very
are we
good.
ready?
We don't have a picture.
Yes, ma'am. We're all set, ready to go. We're live on YouTube and recording.
Yep, beautiful.
I don't have a picture.
That's okay, as long as we can hear each other.
Okay,
All right, I'll call this meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners to order. We'll do a roll call of commissioners. I'll call out the names. If you're here, you're here. Please signify. Commissioner Cuminato,
there.
okay. Commissioner Lyons,
here,
Commissioner Diaz,
here,
and Commissioner Roach is present. I believe that's all that's present currently, but we have a quorum. And we'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance, not out of any disrespect to the flag, but for a lack of a flag. I will ask everybody to please observe a moment of silence for retired officer Michael J. Kalichian, and please, Lieutenant, correct me if I mispronounced, Junior, who passed away this past Tuesday, July 14th. May he rest in peace. Also at this time, please observe a moment of silence for retired officer Edward J. Hall, who passed away this past Friday, July 24th. Thank you. This time we'll accept the minutes of the regular board meeting, which was held on July 21st of this year. There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Diaz. Is there a second?
second,
It's been seconded by Commissioner Lyons. All those in favor?
aye,
Are there any opposed? That motion's carried. Also, the acceptance of the minutes of the special board meeting, which was held on July 28th.
so moved,
Okay, it's been
Second.
moved.
Second.
And second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Those minutes are accepted as well. Is the chief on with us yet?
Yes, I believe the chief is with us.
There he is. Okay. Next item is the report from the chief of police, and I see Chief Perez there. Good evening, Chief. Chief, can you hear us?
Of his mic's on.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Farrow is with us, Commissioner Roach.
Okay. Thank you.
I can step
Chief.
away and I will be right back. I will just tap on the chief's door.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Commissioners, the chief is having a little technical difficulty and Sergeant Carley's addressing it right now, so
Okay,
hopefully.
we'll move on the agenda where we can and then come back to the chief if that's okay. And we'd have to probably, after new business, old business done, correspondence on the letter of appreciation done, at least we, the widow's pension on, item number 8 on the agenda, the request of, Mrs. Hall to receive a widow's pension effective immediately. Plan A, is that correct?
Yes, we also have
okay.
Sergeant Seeley on, if you would like Sergeant Seeley to address the commission now, Commissioner, or?
Yeah, no, if you feel it's necessary and, if everything is in order, I'm sure we can vote, but if Sergeant Seeley would like to confirm that, that's fine as well.
Sure, I just, we'll have to unmute him.
I am here.
Okay.
Yep, so we're going to skip to your report first, Sergeant. The chief's having a bit of technical difficulty.
Okay, sure. Good evening, Commissioners. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing very well, doing very well. I apologize for last month. I was actually away on vacation. It wasn't much of a vacation, but I did get away for a little bit. I did want to just speak for a little bit this evening about House Bill 6004, which certainly affects police officers, not only ours, but all around the state. Our union, along with other unions, are working together on many issues with this bill on constitutional grounds that we believe conflict with federal law, including qualified immunity, the new use of force standard, creating the Office of Inspector General, and consent searches. There are other harmful impacts of this bill. We are looking at these impacts and what it will do to state and municipal budgets that are already strained by COVID-19 at this time. We will be demanding that cities and towns bargain any of the impacts that are going to be imposed on our members by the passage of HB 6004. We're hoping that, in the special session come September, that we will have the ability to sit down and focus on some of these areas that we believe not only us, but our cities and the municipalities are going to be impacted most. There are other issues. One thing that really certainly concerns me is the mental health section. There's just so many questions that our members have regarding this. Whether or not our members are going to be covered if there was a work-related injury, if it was a work-related matter, or what if it's not a work-related matter? How do we bring our people back to work? There's just so many questions as a result of this bill. However, we are confident that, we will certainly get through this and looking forward to, working with the states and our legislatures, personnel, and trying to improve these areas that we've talked about. So many times over the years, I always feel like, when we're coming in front of our board, that there's always negative things, there's always discipline. And one of the things I always wanted to do was try to recognize some of the good jobs that our officers do on a daily basis. Joel, were you able to share my screen?
You can do it. We're working on it, Brad.
Okay. Well, let me know when I can share it so I can let them know.
Hey, Brad, they can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I just want to share my screen. There's a picture I'm trying to show.
Roger.
So on to another issue today. We finished up our detectives exam. Currently, we have about 17 openings in our detective bureau. We have 10 actors currently that have filled those positions for quite some time. So we have a lot of officers. I believe 38 took the exam. So we're looking forward to and anticipating, a great result and getting some new detectives here on the force once civil service has, certified the exam. And again, I have one other thing. Guys, can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
There we go. Okay, just give me 1 second. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
So this is the AFSCME. That is our international union. This is one of the pamphlets for the 2020 convention. And I'd like to recognize the young lady here as I'll draw with my cursor. This is actually Officer Cindy Trin of the Bridgeport Police Department. She volunteered her time for a photo shoot for frontline workers late last year. And she was recognized. And Cindy Trin has about 4.5 years on the job. She's a bilingual female officer. She speaks Vietnamese. She's from the west side of Bridgeport. She's currently still pursuing her degree, but I think it's a testament that, I can sit here today and say, hey, this is a wonderful officer that's from our city, that our city recruited, and she is doing a great job on a daily basis. So, again, hopefully I have more stories like this, but she's doing a great job out there currently. And, I think you guys and I think the public needs to hear these stories about the good officers because there really are a lot of good officers in our police department. And I'd like to focus on that a lot more as long as I'm here and as long as I'm the president of Local 1159. And that's all I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarge. Any of the commissioners have any questions for the sergeant? And I have one. I think you've given us your stance on 6004. The question is, has the union taken an official vote on their stance?
Commissioner, there's no need for a vote. Every officer is at this point, they are the impacts of this bill will and could affect any one of us at any points in our career.
Right.
So at this point, there's been no vote.
You'd be under the assumption that the vote would be unanimously in favor of the points that you brought up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And my point is, I think it would mean that much more if you could actually say that the union voted unanimously for this or for this position. Just a suggestion. Any other questions for the sergeant? Okay, thank you, Sergeant. Chief, are you on?
Hold on, Commissioner Roach.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, Commissioner.
Commissioner Roach.
Yes.
I had one question for.
Oh, okay.
I guess, you told me the negative parts of the bill, the things that impact the police officers. Is there anything good in the bill?
Hi, Commissioner Farrell. How are you, sir?
How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I think one thing that in a lot of police departments that we're lacking is resources and training. I can speak for someone who's in my 19th year. The training is obviously much different today than it was when I came on, almost 18 and a half years ago. I do see things that are going to be helpful with post. I just hope that, they will be committed to assisting the municipalities and the towns. And I'll give you an example. There is no requirement right now. If we talk about use of force, there is no requirement right now for an officer to annually update any type of certification when it comes to any type of defensive tactics and or maneuvers. A lot of departments refer to that as lockup. And as I understand it, it's a system that was created by a former police officer. His name is Kevin Dillon. And I understand that based off of some of the changes in the law, he will have to change some of his tactics. But, I always wondered why we weren't training every single year in things like defensive tactics, and areas like that. It is not a requirement for an annual or even every 3-year certification. So if you were to say, Sergeant Seeley, what would you like to see? I'd like to see something like that done, because I've seen the lawsuits that come and arise out of what we call a force situation. And, I believe that the changes that they're suggesting in the use of force are certainly going to require a lot more training, but not just training in a classroom. It's going to require like a training environment. You're going to have to train physically for some of these changes.
And there's stuff that's incorporated into the bill that you're referring to, and you do see it as positive, or are you?
Yeah, I guess I'm hopeful that, we will see resources for the police department. I think every department's budget has been strained, to the max. I mean, in the last 4 to 5 years. But, now hopefully, we will see better training. I'd love to see better training for our officers, because, we're trained for 6 months, and they train us for as much as they can train us for. And then you have 3 months, in what you call the FTO period. But there's other things that you really have to go back and continue to train. Something like martial arts. I mean, you don't just learn it in a 1-week class. It's something that has to continue to train, and you have to become proficient. If you were to do, control holds, things like that on a person, rather than using other types of force. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying there. I understand it. I guess my concern is, I understand your other concerns as well. The fact that we got here somehow, and we got here because some officers obviously aren't doing their jobs correctly and aren't a problem. So I'm just trying to figure out, something needed to change. And then the question is what? And so I understand your concerns about the negative components of this bill, but I was just trying to figure out if there is enough stuff in the bill that actually pushes us in the right direction, so we don't have to see some of the things we're seeing right now, particularly with regards to the fact that it seems that some of this stuff happens right while they're officers. And then the question becomes, how do we create a culture where it's unacceptable, not only to the public, but also to officers? Or at least to the point where officers feel like they can't tolerate it anymore. Because anytime we have to discipline officers, and I heard you talk about the discipline thing, it's amazing to me how many officers come to me and say, it was only a matter of time. This officer's been doing this for a long time. So it's like, all right, so that's great. That means It happened a long time. We caught them this time. They're on the hook this time. But what are officers doing to police themselves, so to speak? You know what I mean? And so that's where my concerns comes. Is like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So are we moving too far in the other direction? Probably. But then the question is, what are we doing to make sure we get it right? Does that make sense, Sergeant?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll say, Commissioner, anyone who watched that video, would look at that and say, what was going on and what happened there? Why all that time? But again, I think it comes back to, training people and ensuring that our people are 100% prepared. I think the newer generations of officers, they've possibly received much better training than I ever received. Regarding things like I just talked about, lockup training, things like that, right? But I can only hope that, in the future, our officers, will understand the importance of training. And, I just hope that, the community, and it's, again, I think I said it before, it's my goal to show the community that, the majority of officers are very good officers and do a great job, based off of the circumstances that they're in. I just hope that we can find a way to, instead of, fighting, between politics and this and that we're able to really say, hey, you know what? We have great officers in our community, because I do believe that.
Thanks, Sergeant. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thanks, Commissioner. Any other questions? Anything else? Okay, we're going to go back to the report of Chief of Police. Chief, are you all straightened out there?
Yeah, thank you so much. I apologize. I don't know what happened. I'm not that technology savvy here, but
That's
they helped
okay.
me out. Well, good evening, Commissioners. Good to see you guys. I'm
Good
hoping
evening.
to see you in person, hopefully soon. And I'd like to start off by, first of all, I want to give some kudos to Lisa Morrissey. She is the health director, as well as Audrey Gaines. We've been working with them regarding inspections of the establishments that hold large number of people, parties, and they, let me tell you, it's been seamless between the health inspectors and our officers working together. We have accomplished a lot. We have shut down many places, the White Eagle, one of them, last week or the week before. And so I just want to say that Lisa has been very responsive, as well as Audrey. 1 o'clock in the morning, we're talking to them, and I mean, you don't get any better than that. That's great. I had a chance to listen to a Zoom conference regarding police reform and social justice. It was 3 hours. Mayor Lightfoot from Chicago hosted it. Chief Rancy was there. We have the report. We're looking through the report. A lot of the stuff that's in the report we already have here in Bridgeport. The body cams, the cameras in the cars, and accountability when it comes to use of force, pursuits, and all that stuff. But I'll report that on a later day. It was very, very, very nice conference, very good. I was happy that I was able to be part of that. One of the things that we are looking at is the resurfacing, for lack of a better word, of the Latin Kings in the east side of our city. A lot of these guys have been in jail for a long time. They're on parole, but they're out there, and they want to retake their territory, for lack of a better word again. We're working with the parole, working with the FBI, task forces. There's a couple of things that we're doing, and hopefully we can send them back to jail for the rest of their lives and get rid of them once and for all. There are 2 investigations at the time. The traffic of guns in the city That's going very, very well, and hopefully I'll be able to report good news to you sometime next month. This month we had the takedown. This is an indictment out of the Justice Department in New Haven, and it's in regards to the courthouse shooting. We targeted and identified 5 individuals responsible for homicides as well as shootings in our city. These are violent individuals that committed a lot of the shootings in the city. Marquise Israel, Asante Gaines, Diston Calderon, Diami Blackwell, and Lahim Jones, all in federal custody as we speak. We are hopeful to make another 14 arrests out of that just one case. So it's an ongoing investigation. It's a fruitful investigation. We have a lot of cooperation from some of the individuals that I just read their names out there. They're cooperating with the Justice Department. So that's going very, very well. The new class is scheduled for mid-September, and we have the number. Right now we have 21 candidates, and hopefully we'll have the class mid-November. Detectives tests, I know that the union president spoke on. Yes, it's completed. Today was the second part of the test, and so 38 went through it. We'll see how many pass. We promoted 4 sergeants last week: Sergeant Collazo, Sergeant Pelletti, Sergeant Martinez, and Sergeant Jarrett. They'll be undergoing training next week and be on patrol, hopefully A shift and C shift before September 1st. So that's the target date. We also want to have some kind of a gathering, hopefully with their families. I'm going to extend an invitation to the commissioners, so I think it's important you guys are there, and have something nice here in my office for the sergeants and their families. One thing that I am very concerned with is the housing authority and the direction that they're going. We met with Jillian, the new director, about a month ago, and it was a good meeting. I thought it was a good meeting. It was productive, and we thought that we were going to have another meeting soon, so that they could, I spend a lot of money on the housing details, and I was hoping that they would reimburse some of that money. But right now, I'm stopped. I don't know why. What's going on with that? Ed Adams is helping me a little bit, but what I'm concerned most of all is the violence, particularly P.T. Barnum in apartments, Green Home Apartments. P.T. Barnum, they had on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, 2 cars shooting at each other, 36 rounds. We recovered many of the shells. Through the grace of God, nobody got hurt, but one of the bullets went through an upper casing in a window into a bedroom, and there were 4 babies, literally babies, in the room. Yesterday, I, as well as Assistant Chief Garcia and Deputy Chief Baraja, went down to see the family. We met with them. We talked to them for a little bit, and very, very humble, very good people who appreciate what the police do for them. One of the things that the father said is, listen, we want you guys here. We appreciate the police here. Please don't leave us. Don't leave us. And I gave my word that I wouldn't go anywhere. The one thing I did was I increased patrol. I have the gang unit up there right now, and I also have 3 the area car as well as a special detail that's going to run for a bit. But on the other hand, I made my bones in PT, so I know how PT is. That place is filthy. It's disgusting. It's dirty. People who live there don't deserve to live like that. I felt like I was in a third world country where there was garbage all over the place. That window should have been replaced that very same day. It took us contacting the housing authority and everybody that we could for them to go up there and fix the window. People deserve to have their kids out there playing. It was a hot day, and all you had was garbage and animals, all over, dogs and cats and all kinds of stuff. It smelled like if you were in the dump. So, you know, I'm bringing this to your attention because I'm very upset, and the housing authority, they got to step up to the plate. They cannot abandon the people, the good people who live in this housing projects. They're not doing their job, commissioners, and it's bad. Tomorrow we're going to be walking PT. I'm going to take my command staff as well as the gang unit, and we're going to walk for 2 hours PT. We're going to talk to the residents. We're going to talk to the people. We're going to give them our cards, and I'm going to have police presence in PT. This is going to end. We're not going to tolerate this kind of violence in our communities like that. It was disgusting. It took me and the assistant chief almost 2 hours to get a response to get up there and clean up that place, and that is not acceptable. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Hey, Chief, who did you contact to get somebody out there to do some cleaning? Was it the housing authority or was it public facilities?
No, I contacted both. I contacted Craig Nadrisny, and he tells me that, you know, that's not his place. But if the mayor would have called him, he would have sent something up there.
I know they make exceptions sometimes. One thing I could say, the new housing authority director, she took over, you know, quite a mess there, and personally, I'm fairly impressed with her. She did an excellent job, in my opinion, with the fire in PT Barnum and taking care of that situation. And also, she seemed to be, you know, on top of when they had the power shortage, which affected Trumbull Gardens, you know, particularly the high rise with no power for what ended up being only 48 hours, even though she was told originally it was going to be for 5 days. So she reached out to the administration for some help, and the UI was tag team a little bit. And ultimately, it was 2 days instead of 5 days to get Trumbull Gardens up, which was bad enough. But I think it could have been worse. So I mean, so this is just my personal opinion, and I have a meeting with her tomorrow on a couple of issues, Chief. So if you don't mind, I'll bring up you know, your concerns. I know the housing authority is in troubled status, and she is putting together a plan to get the authority out of there. They're cash strapped as well, but she's putting the pieces together to move forward and correct that situation. So hopefully that will also include the appropriate funding to keep, you know, PT Barnum and the other places in order.
Okay, I got one more thing, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention it, and this is something that's pretty exciting. You know, we talk about police presence all the time, but a lot of time police presence doesn't solve the issue at hand. Assistant Chief Garcia met and was able to secure this program called Liberation Program Wellness and Resource, and it's like a little bus. And what it does is, for example, today they met with our patrol officers at 7 and then 8 o'clock. They were out there at 6 o'clock in the morning over at Wood and Park, and we were having a lot of problems with prostitutes and drug-dependent people, and people selling drugs, and it's like zombies walking around. This morning, they were able to make 3 contacts, and they were able to help 3 individuals, so, you know, trying to help themselves, trying to kick their drugs from their system. So this is something that's not unique, but it's new on this side of the city, and we're exciting, and that we're partnering with them, and that they're willing to work with us. So I will have more information on this the next meeting. Maybe I'll bring the assistant chief so that she can explain it better than I.
All right, very good. Anybody have questions for the chief?
I do.
I do too. Go
Okay.
ahead, Commissioner Lyons.
Okay. Chief, you mentioned earlier that the new health director and Audrey Gaines are keeping tabs on large gatherings. You mentioned the White Eagle Club and other places where, groups of people are, gathering in large measures. We're getting into the back to school time for the universities, in particular, the Fairfield University and Sacred Heart. It was in the newspaper that the universities are curbing the amount of students that they're allowing to have at any gathering. I believe it's 12. And they have some very strict punishment that they're going to implement. I don't know if you're aware of it or if you've heard of it. My question is, what's the Bridgeport Police Department's participation in this? I mean, in other words, if residents are having, parties of 50 or more, we're obviously, that's something we don't want during these pandemic times. What's the police prepared to do for this?
Commissioner, we're working with Gary McNamara, who works for Sacred Heart, their security department. And Gary and I discussed this issue, and what we're going to do is we're going to have feelers out there. So in other words, if they get wind that they're having a party or there's a large gathering, they're going to call me immediately, and I will notify our health inspector and our officers that we have available, and we're going to go down and we're going to shut them down when it's documented. If arrests need to be made, we're going to make those arrests, okay? And we're not going to be very nice. If these kids don't respect the law, the law's not going to respect them. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Do you encourage the community to reach out to the police department? In other words, if people see a party that maybe your feelers miss or maybe they're not in that area at that particular time, should the community reach out to the police department in any shape, or how would that be accepted?
No, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Michelle, beautiful wife, has my number. They can call me anytime, and I will respond. I'll respond with immediacy.
Okay.
Hey, Chief, on that subject also, is there some sort of mechanism to be put in place that the university will be notified by the department if they have to respond to a significant or a larger parties going on?
Yes, sir. Our conduit is Captain Steve Lugal, who on that side of town, and he'll be contacting Gary McNamara. He'll be sending all the reports to the university. Any time that we interact with any of their students, so we're going to be on the same page.
Gotcha. Okay. Commissioner Cruz, you had a question, right?
I did. First of all, Chief, thank you for being present. Appreciate the report. You mentioned 36 rounds Sunday over at the Greens homes, but then you went on to say a broken window at PT Barnum. Is a broken window at Greens or PT?
No, the whole incident occurred at PT Barnum. I believe it was like 1:30 in the morning, near there was a memorial by Building 6, and the bullet went into apartment 108 in PT. There were two vehicles shooting at each other by the memorial, and one of the bullets, stray bullets, went into through the window of the apartment. It hit the upper casing, so by the sheer the goodness of God, these kids didn't get hurt by the bullet or by glass. This is a really, really good family, husband, wife, and 4 little babies. And I'm not happy. I'm very, very upset that it took us at almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon to contact the housing authority for them to respond and to fix the window. That should have been done right away.
Yeah, I understand. You also, and please extend my appreciation to Assistant Chief regarding the Liberation Program. I must say that just recently I may have driven by there early afternoon, and it was evident what is going on with, the standing in the corner, you know, running across the street. You can see that people are under the influence. And so is there going to be more police presence in that area in Wood and Park Avenue?
Yes, we already have police presence there, but what we don't have, see, here's the problem. It's easy to arrest the prostitute. We'll arrest them all day long, but
Right.
for the paperwork is done, the court will give them a PTA, and then they'll go right back to where they're, came
Yeah.
from.
Nice.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help them. Listen,
Yes,
there's
absolutely.
help. We're going to try to get you out of, the drug dependency. If you need help, we're here to help. We want to help you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So I'm aware of weddings going on in the neighborhood with large crowds, right? As long as, if people don't call, right, you'll never know, right? If
Right.
people don't consider that an issue and don't care, it's not a big deal, right? Because you're not having officers roaming around stopping every party that's evident. Am I correct?
Some of them are evident, like Sasson and Mambo. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But there was, my God, there was 500-600 people there. How do you do it? How irresponsible is that? And so we shut them down. We shut down Evolution. We shut down. There was another one on Stratford Avenue. The name escapes. But the White Eagles. The White Eagles off the hook. It was a huge parking lot filled with people.
Wow.
It was just. But like I said, I got to give Lisa and Audrey. Let me tell you, they're lioness. They're fantastic. Very happy with them.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, that's it for me.
Okay. I have something, unless anybody else had any more questions for you, Chief, but,
Nothing.
I guess with the, the summer's obviously, in full swing, and the young guys on between the bikes and the quads, the group that buzzes around the city. I know the department made some inroads last year with confiscating, some of the illegal vehicles. They seem to be back. I had an issue on Fairfield Avenue about a week ago where it's getting to be more than just an annoyance. The bikes are very loud, but the kids are running red lights with them. They're in some cases there was an officer that pulled close to, not pursuing them, but pulled close to them, and they jumped the curb on Fairfield Avenue and were went a couple blocks on the wrong side of the road. There was a pedestrian that was knocked over as a result of that, senior citizen, and it was surprising that there wasn't more damage done, but and I know the members of the department, one, they have plenty of things to worry about, but two, it's limited what they're allowed to do, as I think most people have witnessed. I was just curious, Chief, if you have any thoughts on that, or if there's any plans in place, any type of movement to try to clamp down on this.
Yes. We reinstituted the detail. It's a detail that uses undercover vehicles. Sergeant Jason Amato and his crew, and we don't chase them. We follow them. If we have a drone available, we'll use the drone. But it's kind of limited, with the drone. But we had success early in the year. We recover a number of these bikes, and there's a fine. There's a $500 fine, as well as the towed. And a lot of these kids don't have the money. Some of these things are stolen, but the ones who do have the money, all right, do come in and they pay the fine, the $500 and the towed, and they're taken away. Right now, we have a number of these bikes that we're storing ourselves, and we're hoping to before hopefully the summer is over, have something out there where we can crush them in public so people can see them being crushed. And hopefully, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to deter what's going on. But if we take them off the street, as many as we can, it's going to help us a lot. You know, our officers, in spite of everything that's going on in the state and in our country, we don't quit. We're here to serve and to protect the public. And our officers go out there every day, and we do a bang-up job, man. Let me tell you, we do a great job. They care for our people. They care for our citizens, and we're not quitting. We're not going anywhere. We're not quitting. The law is the law, and we'll always follow the law. Commissioner Farrell, you haven't said anything. You don't love me no more.
Well, we've probably never been more grateful for the police for such a time as this. And we're hoping you don't go anywhere. And I'm talking about the entire police department. You truly appreciate it. We would hate to see what's happening across our nation to start occurring here. You know, people say it's going to get worse, you know, and I understand social media will infiltrate or inflict fear upon people. Where people believe in Second Amendment rights and are getting ready for anything that happens. But I know it is what it is. And I'm hoping that, you know, our police department is equipped and prepared for what's to come and do the best we can.
We have, thank you, Commissioner, and we do have excellent, even retired officers like Officer Harold Thimble. You know, what a great job he's doing with his Project Longevity. Phil Sharp, still a sergeant, and they're in the community. They're, like I said, I think it was last week, the assistant chief went down to PT. The week before, it was in Stratford Ave, and we cooked hot dogs. We had movie night, and we're close to the community. And yeah, you know what? Sometimes things do happen, but for the best part, for the better part, people of Bridgeport are great people. They love their police department. I don't care what anybody says. They love, and we are here to serve and to protect them. And I always tell them, you know, treat people the way you want to be treated. Live by that golden rule.
The only disappointment I have is that you don't invite us to those hot dog events. You know, we like to have a free hot dog once in a while.
No, the assistant chief there. No.
I don't mind volunteering even if I don't eat them. I'll help you serve.
Okay, no problem.
We're not aware of that.
Got one coming up. I'll
right.
have the clerk of the department, Nancy, who's always doing a great, fantastic job. Hopefully she'll be able to, I'll give her the information. She'll reach out to you guys.
Lieutenant can send out an email on that. That'd be great.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
For the record,
Anything else?
For the record, Chief?
Yes?
For the record, I do still love you, though.
You only up here.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And by the way, I did forward you that video. Yeah, I think you would have gotten that. I texted it to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We can follow up on that tomorrow. That'd be great. Thank you.
I will.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Okay. Internal affairs. Now we've received the report was sent to us. There's I don't see any reason to go into executive session, Lieutenant.
No. Sent the report, Lieutenant Lana.
Other than the report, the commissioners have received the report. Are there any questions that may require us to go into executive session? I know the report also. I think they're stressing that they're looking for administrative help in that office as well as some help from within the department.
No, I didn't get to thoroughly review it, but no, not at this time.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll move on to the clerk's report. Status of pending matters. Lieutenant O'Donnell.
Sure, commissioners, if we could let's address item DB first. I've received a new internal affairs case with sustained charges. So I'm making the notification tonight. That's OIA case 18I-144. So we are up to 4 cases in addition to 17I-200. I've received another notification for a second step Barrows with OIA case 19I-080. I'd like to plan a second step hearing with you for September or October. We have not had one this year, so I do have 3 citizens that would like to come forward to discuss their cases with you. So if we can get something on the books for September, October, that will address our second step Barrows obligations. And then I'd like to go back to item 2DA, OIA case 17I, for scheduling the Barrows hearings. We need 2 more hearings for this case that will involve 2 officers and 2 civilian detention officers. So if, I have a few dates from a few commissioners, if you could give me your availability over, next week and in September, then I can just firm up with the City Hall Annex personnel to resume and get some dates on the books. I've touched base with the union, with the city, with our stenographer. So it's really just getting a few dates from you.
Lieutenant, I did speak with Maria in OPM, and the use of the conference rooms are pretty much available whenever we need it. We do have to be careful. The meetings are supposed to be limited to 10 people, which doesn't give us much room after if we have a full complement of commissioners. So we have to be mindful of that. I'm sure we can work it out, and people have to be shifted in and out of the room when needed. But we can move forward, and I'd love to do that, and even next week, if anybody has some time. Do you think, as far as Colorado Avenue is concerned, you think 1 or 2 nights and we can wrap up at least the testimony with the case? Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. The other commissioners, how does next week look? Can we set aside 2 nights? Is that possible?
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have a night next week that will be difficult for them?
The only day I'm not available is Thursday
Okay.
I'm good.
and Friday,
Could
but I
we,
am available Monday through Wednesday.
How about we can do Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday? You think 2 nights should do it? Should we do Monday and then with Tuesday and the possibility of Wednesday if need be, but we're hopeful that won't be the case? Should we start Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah,
I'm with that.
I think if we did one next week and the one after might be a little bit more feasible. The second Barrows hearing is involving not the police department, it's another union. I have made notifications, but I have not heard back.
Okay. This is separate from Colorado Avenue, I'm sorry.
No, it's still the same case. It's involving
Okay.
2 civilian detention officers.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So you said
I mean,
2 officers and 2 civilian officers, detention officers, so we can do 2 a night?
So we would do the 2 sworn officers next week, and we could do the 2 detention officers the following week.
You don't prefer?
What's the possibility of doing them both next week?
I spoke to Attorney Regat, and he would prefer to have them done on separate hearings.
But separate here, is one Monday and one Wednesday, is that a possibility, or is?
As I, just stated, Commissioner, for the civilian detention officers, I've contacted the union and not heard back. So if we could possibly set something up the week after,
Okay.
just to give a little bit more of a cushion or time, but I certainly, if you would like next week, I will certainly move forward with making notifications to everyone.
I think we're pushing it. I think we should just have them back to back. Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesday, whatever. Let's get them out the way.
All right, how about if we schedule Monday for the 2 uniforms, and we'll schedule Wednesday for the civilians?
Yep, very
Does that
good.
make sense? Okay. This way it gives us an extra night, and keep Tuesday available if we need it to wrap up testimony with the uniform officers. And you think once everybody's ready to go, the two civilians we should be an hour, right? I think we're not expecting to use up that much time at all with them.
No, not particularly,
Okay.
not for the 2 civilian detention officers.
Okay. All right, good. Let's see how that flies. We can always bump it up if for some reason it's not going to work next Wednesday, but is everybody good with Monday, possibly Tuesday, and then back on Wednesday?
Good.
Good.
Very good.
And can I get
All
a date from us for maybe late September, early October for a Barrows hearing? This involves a lot more notification on my part with letters, registered letters, contacting the citizens. Some of them I have not been in contact with for about 6 months to notify them of the date, late September, early October for a second step hearing.
When's our regular meeting in September? I'm sorry, I don't have a calendar in front of me.
That is September 15th, Commissioner?
Okay. The following Tuesday, the 23rd?
Sure, the 22nd.
Is it the 22nd? Okay.
You want to do it following the board meeting or prior to?
No, I believe we should do it after or, on a separate date, Commissioner.
The following Tuesday,
Yeah,
Commissioner Cruz, does that make sense?
that makes sense.
We good with everybody there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How
So
many,
I will-
how many do we have?
We have
Second
3
step.
citizens that would like to come in.
Okay, all right. Now, we can do that. It's in closed session, so we'll be able to hold that meeting and still follow the guidelines, I believe. We can hold that meeting in public.
Yes,
Or not,
that
I'm
is
sorry.
correct.
We can hold that meeting on site.
We'll have that at the annex as well.
I think that's probably the plan. We should plan on that anyway.
Utilizing social distancing in that room?
Yeah, I think we can, we can figure it out with the large room but I'll check with the health department and CAO's office tomorrow as far as, having folks come in and out when needed.
Mhm.
And keeping the number down to where it's supposed to be. If the number is 10, we'll figure out a way to have it 10 being the max at any given time, or any given point in the meeting for that matter. People may have to wait in the hall until they're called in. We'll figure it out though.
Yep, so just to reiterate, Monday, the 24th and Wednesday, the 26th for our Barrows hearing to continue, OIA case 17I-200, and then a second step Barrows hearing on September 22nd.
Sounds good. Everybody on board with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Lieutenant, anything else?
No, that's it, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay. New business. We have a request from Lieutenant Cotto to address the board regarding the review and approval of policy and procedure general order 7.03, response to unusual occurrences, 4.03, disciplinary procedures, and 6.12, narcotics investigations. Lieutenant Cotto is also requesting permission to email Section 9 of the department policy for review. Lieutenant Cotto, you're with us, correct? Lieutenant?
Good evening.
There you go.
Thank you for allowing me to address the board. Just to give you a brief update with the policy program, we are just about done. I'm going to give you guys section 9, and then I'll give you guys section 10, rather than give you guys 2 sections to review. They're both rather short, but there is no exigency to just give you guys 2 policies at once. I think we can space them out. I do release a new policy every week, so I'll have enough policies in the queue to keep the program going. So there is no necessity to rush this. But this is coming to the end of the update program. Once the program's updated, I'll be going into focusing on maintaining the mandates within the policies, such as things that need to get reported by certain dates and things that need to get updated annually. Commissioner Roach, do you have a preference in which order I go in?
No, actually I don't.
Okay, I have 7.03 in front of me. This policy was previously approved by the board. There was a mistake that we did find in it, and I'll bring your attention to page number 2 of 7.03. We forgot to include internal affairs, the notifications. So working with Lieutenant Donalds, we came up with a list of things that internal affairs needed to be notified from. Other than that, there are no other updates in this policy, so this is a quick update. Do you guys want to vote on this, or do you just want me to keep going through all of them?
Well, I think the vote on this might be a little bit different than the other 2. This is just a slight revision on page 2 regarding Office of Internal Affairs. We can have a motion on that unless anybody has questions.
I'll make a motion. So moved.
There's a motion to approve from Commissioner Diaz. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, and that's been approved. Okay, please continue, Lieutenant.
Okay, so policy section 6.12, narcotics investigation. This policy was also approved by the board, and based on the realignment of the department, certain responsibilities were moved around, such as the gang task force was moved from under the purview of the detective commander to the office of the assistant chief. So the only revision in this policy, and you probably won't see anything highlighted because all I did was I removed the language of the gang task force from here. And that's about it for this policy. Like I said, this policy was previously approved by the board. So all I did was remove the gang task force language, and it goes under the office of the assistant chief. Once policy 2.01 is completed, I'll be coming before you, and that will explain the realignment of the department. That policy is currently sitting with the city attorney.
Okay, is there a motion regarding the amendment of 6.12, which places the gang task force from the Detective Bureau and puts it underneath the Office of Assistant Chief? Is there a motion to that?
Manny, can you tell us what the rationale for that was? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Prior to having an assistant chief, actually, let's go back even before that. The task force were always assigned under the chief of police, but unfortunately, we didn't have an assistant chief for a while, and the chief really didn't have the time to properly supervise. So what he did was he delegated a lot of his authority down to the Detective Bureau and to other divisions. Now that we have an assistant chief, he's bringing back a lot of his responsibilities back to the office.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Who's your Detective Bureau commander now?
It's still Captain Brian Fitzgerald.
Okay. And all right. I think it would be helpful, not necessarily the purpose of modifying, deleting, or, revising these policies and explanation, because that's the sole purpose of presenting them to us and then having these discussions. But at least what you've taken out, you know what I mean? Because we don't necessarily go back to our hard document policy manual to see what exactly you highlight, what exactly was modified, because we don't have anything to go by. We would have to read the entire thing to discover what was taken out versus why it's being presented before us. You know what I mean? In the other two cases, you highlighted stuff. There was nothing to highlight on this one.
Yeah, it
So
was kind of difficult to highlight something that was deleted. I guess I could leave the language in there and highlight it so you could see it for the next time, if that's what you prefer. But I did notice that there were no highlights on this, and it was because nothing was changed. It was just the word gang task force was removed from there.
Mm-hmm. I did have a question on page 4, if you don't mind me asking.
Which policy?
The one we're discussing now, which is 6.12.
Okay.
When a complaint is fully investigated, it's either filed in one of the following areas. Can you differentiate between the case file and records division, why it would be there versus the intelligence information file? Or do you keep them in both? Because you're not saying, you're saying in one of the following areas, you're not saying and or.
No, we do not keep it in both. So there's certain information that, even though a case is closed, it might be an ongoing investigation for another case, such as informants or witnesses that, let's just say narcotics and vice might keep their information pertaining to another case, even though the first case is closed, and they might need to refer to that. Being that they're in a separate building, they would keep their case files over there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to mute it because somebody's like doing their lawn across the street from me. You can hear it. Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds like the kids on the bikes.
Yeah, they're loose.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Cruz, you have anything else?
I do. Thank you for asking. So number 4, under surveillance equipment, it says approval of the Detective Bureau Commander or designee must be obtained. I wasn't quite sure what that exactly meant. Are you expecting approval from the commander in charge or the designated person?
So that's the Detective Bureau Commander, and if he's not on duty, it would be the lieutenant for any specialized equipment like the use of the drone, or we have those heat-seeking devices. We have night vision, anything considered specialized that is typically stored within the Detective Bureau or Narcotics and Vice. They would need permission from them to borrow it.
I see. Okay. Thank you. When a member of the agency conveys information, like in section F, liaison with outside agencies, I understand what that means, but when you say any member of this agency, are you just referencing officers? Any member of the police department, including, let's say, clerical support staff, or just police officers?
Well, this policy is written for police officers. It's not written for civilians. So this is pertaining to police officers.
Okay. And if they show forward, when they forward the information, you didn't specify how. Is it a phone call? Is it email? Is it a letter?
It could be all of the above. It depends on what the information is. It could be a picture, it could be a text message, it could be a million of things. So why, get bogged down with a detailed list and then we just kind of keep it general?
Right. So if they have to forward that information to the appropriate division commander, it says that the Detective Bureau commander shall maintain a file of all that information that's related to that investigation. Am I correct? So if
Yes.
it's a phone call and he receives a phone call, he should be taking note and filing it. I mean, I know it sounds very petty and picky, but if you don't
So what
specify,
happens-
then things can fall through the cracks when people just pick up the phone and report something and it doesn't get recorded because it's not a file. It's not an email or document.
So if you were a police officer and you were to make, if you were to give information to the detective commander over the phone call, he would, open up a case and assign a case number, and he would write down notes that, today at 7:30, Lieutenant Cotto, gave me information pertaining to ongoing narcotic activity at 300 Congress Street.
Gotcha.
And then he would assign it to an investigator.
Okay. Okay.
Everything we do is documented.
I got it. So it's additional information that it's relative, correct? Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you for the courtesy on that, Lieutenant.
No problem.
Any other questions on 6.12? We need to vote on the specific amendment.
Okay.
Entertain a motion.
To accept policy 6.12?
We've accepted policy 612 already at a previous vote. This is just for the amendment which transfers responsibility from the gang task force from the Detective Bureau to the Assistant Chief.
Got it. So moved.
Is that so moved? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Farrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. The motion has carried. Lieutenant, what else do we have?
Policy 4.03. If we just go to the highlight sections, it'll probably be as easy as possible. So when we approved this policy, I accidentally forgot to include language in there pertaining to the loss of holidays. And this was a total miscue on my behalf. So once we got a new attorney working in the Office of Labor Relations, he was able to work with me and point out to me the oversight on my behalf. So what I did was, on page 2, I included the definition of loss of holidays, and I highlighted it for your ease.
Thank you.
So if you go to page 10 is the section where each of the discipline proceedings are spelled out. Once again, I included the definition for loss of holidays. And then if you bring your attention to page 13, section D, we added language in there that states all discipline, whether formal or informal, must be approved by the chief of police before it is implemented. This includes verbal warnings and counseling. This was a result of our supervision not being on the same page. So, for example, I would get into a car accident and my sergeant would give me a verbal warning, and Commissioner Cruz would get into a car accident and she would be given a loss of holidays.
No.
And, both of us, no prior discipline, no prior history, and it's just both supervisors just had a difference of opinion. So what we did was we created a clearinghouse for all discipline, whether formal or informal, to get approved by the chief of police. This allows, like I said, a clearinghouse to just keep track of all the verbal warnings and all the counseling. It doesn't take any authority away from the frontline supervisors or the managers. I don't see the chief of police, denying the right for them to use positive counseling or positive discipline or negative discipline. It's just, like I said, it's just a clearinghouse for them to say, no, you cannot give Officer Cotto a verbal warning because he got into a car accident last week. And this is now his second, and you already gave him a verbal warning. So now we're going to go progressively and institute, a personnel discipline and progressively discipline him. That's the purpose for that language.
How much of this policy, or how much of the contract is incorporated into this policy in particularly? I mean, obviously this has to coincide with the union contract. Am I correct?
Yes. So any sections of the policy where something came up that was contractually, we did add sections in there to coincide with the current contract, and we did ask the opinion of the union president to chime in where needed.
So can you tell me which, because I didn't see it here, anything related to findings with OIA that constitutes discipline based on CC1s? Is that a separate policy altogether?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, civilian complaints, you're talking about, sometimes civilian complaints based on the findings will constitute a verbal or nonverbal warning. Am I correct? You don't have to state, where the complaint came from, but the fact that the findings are a verbal warning or written warning, does that remain in their file for like a year, let's say?
So let's back up a little bit. That's all contractual. And I believe the language reads that a verbal warning will stay on your record for 1 year and a written warning will stay on your record for 2 years.
Okay.
That's in the current contract, the length of discipline and how long it stays on your record. The stuff pertaining to citizens' complaints and internal affairs is in the, I don't know the exact number, but it's in the internal affairs policies. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
So are you all set? Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I think that at one point, and any commissioner who remembers back then, whenever there is a paper trail or a track record of officers, whether they were not necessarily charged or sanctioned, I should say, that would not be removed from their file so that we can at least see it, even if they were not found guilty. But I don't see that anywhere. All I saw was those last sheets where the chief goes through that matrix to determine what sanction he should impose upon an officer. I don't know where that belongs in the policy. I just thought discipline. Wow. Okay. It's only referencing those superior positions, supervisory positions, taking charge and reprimanding, if that's the right word, or the police. I understand they want to do away with the police, the Board of Police Commissioner. None of that is ever written in any of the policies.
So your authority lies within Barrows to discipline. We didn't touch anything with Barrows or anything. That is a federal order that is on top of everything else. Regarding the discipline, I know we haven't met in a while, but a few months ago, I sat down with Lieutenant O'Donnell, and we did agree that we would start housing all of the discipline in one area. So we can't correct the mistakes of the past. And in the past, some of the discipline was either in the program, which is the parity, and some of it was not in the program with the parity. All we can do is make things better for us. So what we agreed upon was to record all the discipline when Chief Perez became sworn in as chief. So I do record all the discipline from the Chief of Police as well as the Board of Police Commissioners.
Okay.
So when you guys are ready to continue with the Barrows hearings and you guys do need these parity reports, I don't have a problem providing them. I do ask that you are specific with your requests, whether you want the reports pertaining to the Chief of Police discipline or the Board of Police Commissioners discipline, because they are apples and oranges. So for the chief, if he wants to do an apples to apples comparison, I'll run all the reports that have been given by the Chief of Police within 2018 when Chief Perez got sworn in officially as chief.
No, that won't be necessary. I'm just talking about anything that is relevant. If we have a separate report, parity report from what the chief has, but it pertains to the same individual, by all means, we should be able to see it from both ends, right?
Yes, and you have complete access to all those files. All I'm saying is I just need to know if you want the discipline from the chief, or you want the discipline from the board, or you want both of them together. So when the Chief of Police does his discipline, he doesn't look at the Board of Police Commissioners' discipline. He looks at what he's doing so that he can do an apples to apples comparison.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, as you said. Thank you.
Moving forward on page 14.
Yes.
This is a minor change, and what I did was I took the language that was already in the policy and we added it to the discipline matrix. What I found was people were separating the matrix from the rest of the policy, and they were just looking at the matrix and not the whole policy. So we added the highlighted portion in there, which is language in the body of the policy that states the Chief of Police may deviate from the discipline matrix and retain the right to impose any level of discipline deemed appropriate to achieve the goals of the department. I was just afraid that somebody would come up with the matrix and say, oh, I wasn't disciplined according to this, the chief went too high, or the chief went too low, without reading the body of this, and I just copied and pasted it on there.
Which means that exactly, that he can go up or down, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the matrix is a guide, but like I said, he can deviate from the guide if he wants to, for extreme situations.
Great, thank you.
Other than that, like I said earlier, this policy was approved by the board. I just made some language changes and added in the definition of loss of holidays.
Any other questions on the revisions?
Nope.
Be happy to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve the amendments.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Motion is passed. Okay, Lieutenant, you have anything else for us?
Just going to give you a very, very brief update. I don't want to hold up too much of your time. 2 weeks ago, your police department successfully passed the CLES program. That's the Connecticut Law Enforcement Standards and Practices. That's an audit that we get every year. If you remember last year, I had a whole bunch of policies that I was rushing through to get you guys to approve because we had this audit coming up. We successfully passed the audit. They had no questions for us. The auditor was in here for probably about a half hour, he was completely impressed of what we're doing here. And he actually asked me to become an assessor to help him out in the state, which was a compliment. I'm going to take him up on his offer because it's going to make our police department better and closer to getting closer to accreditation. We're continuing the cleanup in the building. Once this COVID is over and you guys come in, you know, you're going to see the hallways painted. They're working on the floors. They put in new rugs.
Nice.
It's starting to shape up around here. And lastly, today I completed sections 1 and 2 of the department policy on the city's website. My goal is to get the full policy on there. I'm kind of working on this in between other projects, so it's probably not moving as fast as I would like it, but I do have sections 1 and 2 up on there. And hopefully soon in the future, you know, we'll have the full policy on there. And lastly, once we get through this COVID, we'll be moving forward, hopefully, on awards. I don't think it's fair to the members or the department that they get a Zoom meeting or something unofficial. You know, we want to honor our guys formally in the right way. I did speak to the chief about maybe having something outside where, you know, people can kind of space out a little bit better. But, you know, with this COVID, you know, it's just, it's killing everything here. And, you know, it's a new anomaly, and we're trying to work on different ways to motivate our guys. But I know I haven't given out awards in a long time, and it is something that is due.
So when are you considering? October, September?
I was hoping to do something soon, but it seems like the COVID numbers are starting to pick up.
Yeah.
And I want people to feel safe. I want people to feel comfortable. You know, the chief, he wanted to have the promotional things for the sergeants inside. I don't even know if we're going to be able to pull that off. We might try as a preliminary and maybe have something outside at the memorial, close off the streets, and, you know, we could get a couple tents and have something outside. But, you know, the COVID is forcing us to kind of reinvent the wheel here and do things differently than we have in the past. But, you know, we're always open for suggestions.
I like the idea of trying to move it outside. I think that is helpful as far as people's concerns.
Yeah, the only thing that, you know, kind of got in the way with that was the protest outside. And the last thing we want to do is for a police officer to not feel safe in his own building, having bringing his family down here and people start protesting outside. So now throw the protest on top of the COVID, you know, it's just like a border for a not good recipe. So, you know, maybe inside the police lot, maybe we can move the cars out and have something in the police lot. But, you know, we have to think about safety and families, and, you know, we want the officers to bring their kids down here, and not only that, but to feel safe with confidence to bring them down to our police station. And, you know, with the protests, we kind of lost that confidence.
Okay. Sure, you'll work it out. Whether it's the
Other than
parking
that,
lot.
I don't have anything else unless anyone has any more questions.
No, thank
set
you,
with the
Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, moving on, nothing under 5, 6, and 7. Widow's pension, which I believe we started before, but we haven't gotten a motion yet. Request from Mrs. Jean Hall to receive a widow's pension effective immediately. All the paperwork is in order, correct, Lieutenant?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item under 9A, which is the request of the city engineer's office to approve the following traffic requests. We have one. The first one is the installation of signs say idling of vehicles is prohibited, 3-minute limit. And that's a Connecticut state regulation. We're just allowing the signs to be installed. I think you may have gotten in their packet what the sign looks like. All sign installations require our approval. So unless anybody has any
Commissioner Rocha,
questions.
Yep, if I may, I was at the police academy 2 weeks ago, and on one of the side streets, there is this sign that was erected due to the idling of cars. So, it is a state sign, doesn't have to go through the formal traffic engineer review. So I have seen these signs up around in different areas of the city.
Mm-hmm. Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
There's a second?
I'll
I'm
second it.
allowing someone else's second.
Yep. It's been approved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, that was good. Anybody opposed? Okay, that's been approved. The next item under 9A is actually has to do with the same request that's under 9B. The request originally was for a multi-way stop sign on Howe Avenue in Cedar Street in the east side. The city traffic engineer is not recommending that the multi-stop because of the study showed that there was a lack of accidents on that corner, and the volume doesn't allow for it. At least that's his argument. I think, and maybe one or two of the commissioners may have gotten a phone call from Councilwoman Maria Valle as well, but she was pushing for the multi-way stop sign. She understands the recommendation to counter that was a no parking here to corner sign at Howe Avenue and Cedar Street, and apparently, and she said part of the reason is that that there's issues on that corner is because cars turning can't see, their line of sight is blocked by cars parking close to the corner. So after talking with Councilwoman Valle, I made a suggestion that will, if she would be okay with the idea of tabling 9B, see if 9A does the trick, so to speak, as far as alleviating the issue, and if not, we can at least revisit it.
If I'm not mistaken, there's already a stop sign on one side of that. It's a one-way going up, right? Going up from what is that, View, City View, whatever. It's a one-way going up towards the highway. And I think that at Cedar and Howe, there is a stop sign on the Cedar side. Not sure if there's a stop sign going across the Howe side. I can see where a car turning right would have a problem if there was a car there seeing anything coming up the block.
Yeah, but if it's blocking the line of sight, and if a no parking here at a corner sign hopefully alleviates that, then they might be covered. If not, at least gives us the opportunity to
right. I'm with it. I think it makes sense.
Okay.
I think it makes sense. I'll how do we motion? How do we make the motion?
Well, if we're going in that direction, the motion under 9A, the second would be to approve the no parking here to corner signs at that intersection. And then the item under 9B would be a motion to table.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the second item under 9A.
No parking here to the corner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion to approve has been passed. The request for the city traffic engineer not to approve the following traffic requests. I believe your motion would be to table, is that correct, Commissioner?
Yeah, it would be, yeah, to table.
Okay, there's a motion to table, is there a second? Not
Second.
everybody at once now. Second, been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Our regular meeting, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, nobody opposed. So we are adjourned, but we do need to reconvene as the trustee of the Police Relief Fund, Plan A. We're going to do a roll call of Pension A members. I guess I'll start off with I'll call the names out. If you're here, please respond. Commissioner Cruz,
Here.
Commissioner Farrow,
Here.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yeah.
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
Commissioner Cuminato, and okay, I guess Maddie is off. For the record, we do
He may be on. I think his mic was off before.
okay.
For a while. Yeah, he's on there. His mic is just.
On there still? Okay, I'm sorry. We'll,
Yeah.
he was present before. We'll mark him down as present. Just Commissioner Quarles is the only one absent. So the one and only item is, again, a request from Mrs. Jean Hall to receive a widow's pension effective immediately, the Pension Plan A. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion has been approved. I entertain a motion to adjourn as Plan A.
So move.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned as Plan A as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner.
All right,
Thank you,
have a
guys.
great night.
Bye.
We'll see you folks all next Monday, 6 o'clock.
Next Monday at 6 o'clock.
Next Monday at 6
Monday
o'clock.
at
I guess I
6
missed
o'clock.
something.
Same time. You guys that are 60 years old, hey, happy